feel that sense of peace without chasing the money? Are you working out because you think you should, or you know you should? Or is it because you really value your health? All about not necessarily what's on your to-do list. It's about the intention behind it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Happy and Human podcast. I am your host, Dr. Seema. If you're new to the show, welcome. If you are a returning listener, thanks for coming back. Thanks for hanging with us. Today, it's just me. And I'm recording this at the first part of September of 2023. And what inspired this episode actually was, it was like Labor Day happened. And then all of a sudden, these conversations with my family started happening too. Hey, who's hosting Diwali? Hey, Navratri's coming up. Hey, where's Thanksgiving this year? What are we doing for Christmas? All of these things started happening between me and my sisters-in-law. And I just thought, here we are again, right? We're already as driven, ambitious professionals. We've got a lot on our plates. And then holiday time comes, and for many of us, it's supposed to be really, really enjoyable. It's a special time where we get to reconnect with family and friends and make memories. And instead, we wind up killing ourselves and stressing ourselves out, and maybe even falling prey to some family drama that might happen. And so that's really why I wanted to hop on and talk to you guys about really, how can we go from feeling overworked and busy to fulfilled and productive? So many of us are laying in bed at night with our brains on the hamster wheel, running at 100 miles an hour. We're hearing that voice in our head that won't shut off. You know, the one that is constantly telling you of all the ways you fell short, the ways you messed up today, all of the things you didn't do. So many are struggling to be present with what's happening in front of them because there's phone notifications going off, and they have a huge to-do list of things that just, it seems endless, right? Things keep getting on faster than we can check them off. And it can leave us feeling like we're compromising our own goals and desires for the sake of others, which is very exhausting. And it can feel very, very demotivating, and can cause us to sort of check out and get on that fast path to overwhelm and then burnout, which is not what we want. So I hear so commonly, especially from moms, I've got so much on my to-do list. And my heart just goes out to people when I hear that, because when I hear it, what I also pick up on is the overwhelm, and I pick up on the frustration, and I pick up on all the self-judgment that happens, and it's understandably so very demotivating. I've been there too. I'm human, and I've spent a lot of time learning these tools and concepts to help me avoid landing here, but I still land here from time to time. I still, wind up looking at myself in the mirror going, why does it feel like I just can't get it together? And so if this is, if you're picking up what I'm throwing down, I am here for you, because this is just a temporary place. It's not our forever place where we have to live. So I wanted to sit here and look at with you guys, what's going on with those to-do lists that are creating this sense of stress and overwhelm? And how can we shift to being productive and fulfilled? And at the core of it, we just want to be happy. We just want to be at peace. That's our natural homeostatic state. And I know you guys have maybe heard me say that before, where peace and happiness is our actual natural state, which is why we're constantly trying to come back to it. And we tell ourselves that, if there's this happiness fallacy, if I can just get this to-do list done, then I'll be happy, and then I'll be able to slow down, then I'll be able to relax. And the truth is, as long as we're going to keep chasing, we're going to be stuck on that hamster wheel. So let's look at these to-do lists. If you look at your to-do list as goals, essentially, you might be able to find some more insights as to what is actually on your to-do list, why it's on there, and if you want to keep it on there at all to begin with, right? Or you might actually approach those things on your to-do list very differently. I tell people when we're coaching one-on-one, it's not necessarily the action that we're taking that's important. Yes, it's important that we take action, but you can take action all day and not feel like you're getting anywhere. You can dig a hole all day without purpose, and it's demotivating and exhausting. It's the intention behind the action that's so powerful. When we look at the different types of, if we look at our to-do list as goals, let's quickly understand the two different types of goals that I think of when I'm project management planning, when I'm life planning. Two goals. There's varying names for both types. So you might hear performance goals, ego goals. But what I want to just present to you are means goals and end goals, right? So means goals are the means to an end, right? And the end goal is going to be the actual true endpoint that you really want. So an example of a means goal is something like, I want this new car, or I want to earn X amount of money, or I want my kids to listen to me. Those are means goals. And the issue with means goals is that your self-worth is tied up into them. You're constantly looking to others. It's almost like this comparatitis in sonar form. You're sending out these signals and looking outside of you for whether or not you've accomplished this goal. It's very black and white thinking, to where you either have it or you don't. You did it or you didn't. And so, am I earning X amount or not? Are my kids listening to me or not? Did I get my to-do list done or not? And our self-worth gets tied up in these things. And so when we quote unquote fall short, essentially what happens is we go into this cycle of self-judgment, which is mindset in general. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, whether that's a mindset that serves you or a mindset that doesn't serve you. So when we're in this mindset of black and white thinking of, did I accomplish this or not? Or I can only be happy when I achieve this or not. We fall into this negative and very dangerous cycle to where it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And our self-worth is never realized because we're constantly, the way we're going about achieving these goals is out of essentially like a scarcity mindset, right? I don't have this, and therefore I need to get it. On contrast, there is the end goals. You guys heard me say earlier that our natural state, our homeostasis, is inner peace. We all have that innate sense of inner peace and happiness that lies deep within us. We can all access it, but we fool ourselves into thinking through means goals that we can't be happy until XYZ happens, right? So when you examine your goals and you think, for example, I need to earn a lot of money. Well, it's never really enough unless you decide it's enough. And so when you look at why that is, are you looking for more money because you want other people to accept you, right? To respect you, or you want to be known as somebody that's really successful? That's very different than, more often when we dissect it back, it's that you want to be able to have freedom. You want to be able to have that peace of mind that you don't have to worry about putting food on the table or paying for your kids' college or being able to take a vacation or maybe support a philanthropic cause that really means a lot to you. Maybe it's helping family members and supporting our parents as they get older. Whatever that more money reason is for you, it's not the money that we often are chasing. It's that sense of peace that we want because the money will be able to take off the sense of stress that we have, right? But we can feel that sense of peace without chasing the money, without chasing the acceptance, without chasing and attaching value to, are my kids listening to me or not? Now, yes, as a parent, for example, I want my kids to listen to me, but it's not that I want them to listen to me. It's that I want to have a relationship with them that is a respectful one both ways. I want to be that safe space for them to be themselves, but I also want them um, to want to hear me, right? We as humans, that's a natural need for us to be seen, validated, heard, understood. We want to be connected, right? We want to build a loving, trusting relationship with our children so that we can actually support them in the ways that they need us to support them. So hopefully you guys are starting to sort of see the difference between means goals versus end goals. And I want to come back and look at this now with a hypothetical to-do list. Because when you layer on this understanding of the types of goals to a to-do list of sorts, right? Then essentially what can happen is you can really start to have insights about what is on your to-do list and why it's on your to-do list, and make decisions about, do I even want to do this or not? Is it going to actually serve me? Or is this just something that is basically a means goal for me? Let's look at a hypothetical to-do list, right? So it can be something like organize your kitchen, figure out your Diwali plans, getting in your workout, cooking dinner, scheduling a doctor's appointment, flu season's around the corner, maybe scheduling your vaccines. This is all amongst a list of constant daily activities like work, school, kids' activities, or socializing with friends. And so these sorts of things are like the ones, at least for me and the moms that I know, are the ones that can kind of sort of nag, right? Organize the kitchen, scheduling that doctor's appointment that you've meant to do for weeks, even not, if not months. When we look at even things like hosting or making plans with our families, I offer you guys to just take a look and see, is something like organizing the garage or organizing the kitchen, why do you want to do that? Is it because it really is going to help you save time because you're going to know where things are and things are not going to be lost? If you can find purpose in it that's going to make you feel good, then you're more likely to be intrinsically motivated to do it, right? There's an end goal in there. It's not really about organizing the garage or the kitchen, but it's about creating that sense of ease for yourself so that the next time you're looking for a spatula or that cheese grater, you're not, looking at 3 different drawers to find it. It makes dinner time a lot easier. When it comes to like figuring out your Diwali plans, why do I hear this a lot, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm hosting and there's a lot of drama around who do I invite and the kind of food I serve and whether or not we cater and who's sleeping where. A lot of times we do things out of obligation. We cook a certain dish because we think that without it, we're going to be judged, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I, every year at Thanksgiving, make something called sweet potato casserole, and it's a huge hit with my family. But if I were making that dish every year because it's sort of an expectation now, I've made it every year for the past, I don't know how many years. And if I just felt like I was looking for approval, or I was trying to avoid hearing, well, why didn't you make that? Then I wouldn't want to make that dish, right? I wouldn't want to cook that dinner. I wouldn't want to host. I wouldn't want to do any of those things. But if I see it as a way to show love to my family, it's because I enjoy making it and it's because it's a special treat that's super unhealthy and we get to enjoy it this one time a year. And I look at it as an act of service, then I'm excited to do it. And it doesn't seem like a burden for me to make this dish. So and the same thing for working out, right? That's something that really kind of ideally happens most days of the week. And yet for many of us, we have every intention of making it happen and it doesn't happen. Either you were up late with a sick kid or you have a deadline at work that you've kind of told yourself, I've got to just power through. I've got to muscle through. I don't have time to work out. And then you judge yourself because you're like, I should have. I cannot say this enough. I encourage you guys to look at your to-do list and find purpose, find meaning. Are you working out because you think you should, or you know you should? Or is it because you really value your health? And is it that you really see that without your health, you can't do any of those other things that are on your to-do list? You can't be with your family. You can't, all those things that you're working so hard for, you may or may not be able to enjoy if you're in failing health. And working out is going to be a powerful way to help you mitigate that risk. So it's all about not necessarily what's on your to-do list. It's about the intention behind it. I'll give you one last example about cooking dinner. This is something that I know a lot of busy professionals, this is something that they struggle with. It's they're gone all day, and then cooking dinner sort of feels like a drag. It feels like there's a lot of judgment around what they feed their families or what they feed themselves, about how much they order in, what they order in, whether it's fast food or whether it's not fast food. And I, from personal experience, can tell you, even when I feel tired or when I feel stressed, when I take a step back and I look at cooking dinner and I ask myself, why am I doing this? It's cooking dinner is really just the means. The deeper meaning behind it is it's nourishing my family. And when I get to cook dinner with a sense of love and service, that's very fulfilling for me. And I then invariably create a better meal than if I were to just get in the kitchen and throw something together without really thinking about it or treating it as if it's a burden. So, this happens all the time when we're busy and overwhelmed and all of these things. But I just encourage you guys to look at your to-do list in terms of means goals versus end goals. If you have on your to-do list, I've got to host a Thanksgiving or host Diwali, and you are really just doing it because you are seeking approval or it doesn't matter to you and you feel like you have to, that's maybe a good indication for you to stop and think about whether or not you want to continue doing that. Do you want to allow that to sit on your to-do list and for you to fester about it and stress over it? Or do you want to simply say, I really don't want to host this year? Or maybe you host differently. Maybe you cater instead of you cook. Maybe you, host people for, instead of a whole week, maybe you host them for a day or two, right? There's amendments you can make to allow your to-do list to be more manageable. Hopefully you're able to look at your to-do list and sort of take off the stuff that doesn't serve you, or maybe reframe the stuff that's on your to-do list to find greater meaning, to find greater purpose, so that you might prioritize it more and get it done. So one quick caveat I want to say is I'm not saying that when you're stuck in the state of overwhelm and when you go after means goals, I'm not saying that you can't have success with them and that you can get things done, you can get them accomplished. But when you go through and you get just check done, dinner done, this done, that done, those actions, when done from that intention, can come at a cost. You might snap at your family in the process. You might create more family drama when you're hosting. You might go without sleep, which is, and then get sick as a result, because as you may or may not know, sleep is critical to helping our immune system stay functioning and happy and active, to stave off disease. So the stress that can be created can create more work, and it comes at a cost, versus when you shift to looking at things from the lens of creating end goals, from that sense of peace, from that sense of abundance of I'm doing this to serve and it's aligning with my values and how I want to show up in the world, that then is also a self-fulfilling prophecy. It makes you feel good. And it makes you want to be able to keep doing it more. And it doesn't tax you because now you're not doing the things that you really don't want to do. The things that you don't have a choice in doing, like cooking dinner or paying taxes, even is a great example of can't change, right? Maya Angelou said, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude, right? So even something as mundane or undesired as paying taxes, you can change how you go about doing it and how you think about it so that it can be more enjoyable and it doesn't seem like such a grind and it doesn't seem like such a weight of just self-judgment of how you didn't get it done when you look at your to-do list. The other thing I want to offer in terms of combating the overwhelm and frustration and busyness of a to-do list is ditch the list. So you can make that list, but then schedule it in your calendar. Decide when you want to get things done so that it's not a list, but rather when it's time to do it, it's on your calendar. You've, hopefully done like a little weekly preview to where that that's on the docket for the week and you can have adequately prepared and gotten everything together so that you can sit down and take care of the thing, right? So if for example, you're going to cook dinner every day at X time, you can meal prep, you can make a grocery list ahead of time. And that way, when it comes time to cooking dinner, I do it at this time. And that way, when am I going to cook dinner? Oh, I haven't cooked dinner yet. Oh, dinner's late today. All of those things, the frequency of that occurrence goes down. When we look at our to-do lists, we have a choice. We have a choice of whether we want to feel overwhelmed and busy and stressed, or do we want to feel productive and fulfilled? We can look at those to-do lists as goals. And if we can categorize those to-do lists in the buckets of means goals versus end goals, we might get to have some real insight as to what goals we want to accomplish. And we might go about accomplishing those goals very differently because we found meaning, we found purpose. And as far as the goals that don't serve or that don't align with us, maybe it's easier to just ditch them and say, you know what? It's just not in the cards. I don't want to do that. Or I don't want to do that now. That's not a right now project. That's a project for next year. And importantly, taking these to-do lists and the things that are really important, put them in your calendar instead of leaving them on a to-do list so you can make sure they get things done. Importantly, doing this, it sounds simple, but that doesn't always mean it's easy. A lot of times we have trouble putting things down because we feel guilt or fear that we're going to upset someone, we're going to lose connection with them, or we're going to be judged for our decisions. And so that is just a breadcrumb to sort of say, hey, let's work through that. And sometimes partnering with a certified coach is helpful. But getting clear on what your goals are can help you actually achieve your meaningful goals faster. And hopefully in the process, what you're able to do is break it down and sort of create awareness for the fears and the limiting beliefs that you have. And that will then inspire you to take action from that right energy and get things done. This is my second solo episode. I would love to know how you're finding the solo episodes. And if you haven't already and you like the show, please go ahead and review, follow the show. You guys are not alone. We all have been there in that sense of overwhelm. And I really, really hope that this episode has created some insights and that have empowered you to think about things differently so you can do differently and be better. All right, guys, until next time, stay well.